Thank you, Kerry, man. New toy. All right. Here we go. We're getting towards the end of this 30-day challenge. For the next two videos, the topics that I'm going to discuss and the tips I'm going to give you are really probably some more advanced carnivore tips that you'll probably need a little bit later. But I did want to go ahead and include this towards the end of this series so that you can at least have some ideas and thoughts in case you're hearing things about it. Today's topic we're going to talk about is fasting. Should you fast? Should you not fast? What is fasting? Let's learn a little bit more. All right, great job so far. I know you're doing well. Really enjoyed this series. And today's topic is actually one that I would say is more of an advanced carnivore topic. You'll hear a lot about fasting, and there is a time for fasting, and there's definitely some things that you can do that might help your healing through fasting. But for most people, the first 30 days is not that time. For right now, the first 30 days, you want to be eating as much as you can, as much as you want to. Don't let fasting or the idea of fasting get in your way.
A lot of people ask me about, do you have to eat OMAD? Do you have to fast on a carnivore diet? I don't think you need to fast. I don't think you even need to do OMAD. A lot of the benefit from fasting and the benefit from doing OMAD is really just waiting out the clock on your insulin.
If you're ready to tackle the challenge, there's definitely a lot of information on fasting and how it can help. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But I want to make it very clear, in your first 30 days, don't worry about it. Fasting is not a huge, important thing right now. Your body needs to understand you're finally giving it the nutrients that it needs. You're finally giving it what it needs to go and heal. So fill up, eat as much as you can, eat till you're comfortably stuffed. Stick with the basics, the beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, but make sure that you are feeling comfortable with where you're at and eating as regularly as you want without cheating.
Most people will naturally go into eating once or twice a day, sometimes maybe even skipping a day, purely based on their own hunger signals. And that's fine. If you're eating high density nutrition, you don't need to eat as much or as often. And so you're much less hungry, you're much more satisfied, and you can go much longer without food. So that's not fasting. That's simply eating when you're hungry and you're just not hungry.
If you can stay true to that, fasting will definitely come into play later on. So let's talk about a couple of different things. First, intermittent fasting. You've probably heard a lot about intermittent fasting, and that is great. In fact, I started doing that pretty early on because I just felt like, wow, I was not hungry. So when we say eat till you're comfortably stuffed and then don't eat again until you're full, I was finding myself waking up in the morning. I didn't need breakfast. A lot of days I didn't need lunch. I didn't even get hungry till 3, 4, 5 in the afternoon. So I just waited till dinner. You may get to that stage. You may already be at that stage. Each person's a little bit individual. But I want to do some things and tell you some things today's video that'll help challenge you in a way that you can start thinking about it a little differently.
Have you ever had a big dinner planned, maybe Thanksgiving or your birthday, and you purposely ate as little as you could during the day in order to save your appetite for that big, delicious dinner? Well, that's pretty much how I approach every day. And that's why I practice OMAD, which stands for 1 meal a day. You see, holding out for as long as possible before I eat anything allows me to focus my energy and attention on everything else I have to do during the day. And it makes my dinner taste even better.
So intermittent fasting, what is that? Generally, in the simplest terms, what I have learned, intermittent fasting is really just eating in a food window. So those hours may vary for people based on convenience, based on their family, based on timing of what they need to get worked out with their job. A lot of different reasons, but let's just for the sake of example say eating window may be between 12 p.m. and 6 p.m. And what that means is you're going to eat during those 6 hours and eat as much as you can, maybe 2 meals, maybe one at the beginning, say at 12 and another one right before the 6 o'clock p.m. time. And then you're going to stop eating. You're going to fast until you go to bed. You're going to fast while you're sleeping. You're going to fast in the morning until it gets to noon again. And then that window opens again and you're going to eat during that window. That's what's referred to as intermittent fasting.
Intermittent fasting works with any way of eating. You can derive benefits from intermittent fasting even if you're still eating a junky standard American diet. But you're going to reap the most benefits if you marry intermittent fasting with a low carbohydrate diet, a ketogenic diet, or a carnivore diet.
There's no specific rules about that, but it is something that helps a lot of individuals early on, especially if you have a lot of extra weight to lose and you're finding yourself not hungry. Maybe this is right for you, intermittent fasting. So the easiest way in my mind to intermittently fast is, of course, fasting overnight while you sleep, right? You're generally not eating while you're sleeping. So that in itself is a 6-8 hour fast while you're sleeping. And if you can start tacking on another hour, another 2 hours in the morning, and then also not eating before you go to bed another couple of hours, you are naturally in an intermittent fast. And the more you can shrink that up, instead of say 3 hours after you eat, make that 4 hours after you eat before you go to bed. Now you've got 4 hours, your 6 to 8 hours of sleeping, and then you got another 4 hours in the morning. Then maybe you can bump that up to 5 hours. 5 hours before you go to bed, 6 to 8 hours while you sleep, and another 5 hours in the morning. And that's how you can help shrink that window of eating, and that becomes your intermittent fasting. Again, this is not right for everybody, but if you want to try that, you want to do that, I think you'll see some results if you start out a little bit slower and start that way. For me, again, I just tried to listen to my body. I ate when I was hungry.
Do you need to do intermittent fasting on a carnivore diet? The main benefit of fasting is to reduce insulin sensitivity and for your body to enter a state of ketosis where it's utilizing fat for energy instead of glucose. A carnivore diet is essentially a fasting mimicking diet as you're very low on carbs and sugar and eating very high fat, so your insulin levels are naturally going to be lower. So no, you don't have to fast. However, it can be good to combine the two for added benefits. Intermittent fasting teaches you discipline and focus. It's also a great tool if you have a fat loss goal and want to accelerate the process. You will also be more satiated on a carnivore diet as you are consuming nutrient-dense whole foods, and you may naturally fast for longer and not be as hungry or tempted to snack. I personally do 2 big meals a day. This is what works for me. But there is no right or wrong answer. The most important thing is to find out what works best for you. As long as you are staying on track with a carnivore lifestyle, you are already on the path to long-term health.
Why do you need to fast? What is fasting all about? One of the words that you can do some more research on is called autophagy.
If you're not familiar with what autophagy is, let me just give you the basic understanding of what it is. It is cellular repair. You came pre-programmed with cells that are so intelligent they know how to heal themselves. And when you take food out of the equation, something called autophagy will be stimulated. And this autophagy effect will start to clean up the cells. You can actually regenerate cells. So like we love autophagy for any damaged neurons in the brain. I've talked about the power of autophagy for hormonal health. It is an incredible tool for brain health, hormonal health, and to overcome any bad living that you might have had years ago.
Again, keeping it simple on this channel. I don't have all the scientific explanations. I just know that when you are fasting, your body is able to focus on healing. All right, so intermittent fasting is one way that you can fast. Another way is doing a longer period fast. And there's a couple of really good benefits to it. Again, when you're trying to get in a good solid state of ketosis, when your body's getting into autophagy, the longer the fast, seems like the longer your body can heal. When I say the longer the fast, obviously there's still opportunities for people to do very extreme fasting, and I do not recommend that out of the gate. Start out slow. I started with a single day fast, then I went to a 2-day fast, and then a 3-day fast, and then I worked my way up to a 5-day fast. Fasting helps for a couple of reasons. For me, there was a lot of mental on it. After I saw a lot of the healing going on, I wanted my mindset to be that I didn't want food to control me. And I know a lot of you have addiction and some desires to continue to go back to the sweets and those kind of things. Food should not be calling your name. It's different when you're hungry, okay, but it should not be driving your actions the way, quite frankly, food does today. So fasting is a great mental training for your mind to basically let your body know you're okay. You don't have to eat every couple of hours. Most of us have plenty of stored fats on our body that we've accumulated for years. That's what the fats are there for. They're the reserves. They're ready to feed your body energy when the time is needed. So fasting can really help aid in that and can help push you. But for me, it was a mental thing. I wanted to make sure that my body knew, and I knew in my mind, food didn't control me. I will put a couple of disclaimers out there too. I would not try to just jump into fasting. I did some research before I started my first fast because I wanted to know. It's important to know how to go into a fast. It's important to know how to break a fast. You can't just fast for 5 days and then immediately just eat a ton of food. There's actually quite a few things that can happen to your body if you do that too quickly. So it's important to know how to break a fast and come out of it slowly. And so I would encourage you to make sure you do plenty of other research. Okay, so a couple of the experts, I'm going to put some links in the description of our video, as I always try to do. Of course, there's Dr. Berry. Dr. Berry, I love listening to Dr. Berry because he just breaks things down so simply. He's got some great videos on fasting. But probably one of the best experts out there on fasting is a Dr. Jason Fung. I believe he's in Canada, but he's written several books on fasting. He has some great videos on fasting. I would definitely look him up. Another book that I would recommend is the Phoenix Protocol. I haven't read this yet. I've just heard several say this is a very good book. And it actually deals with the topic of dry fasting. What is dry fasting? Well, it's doing a fast without drinking water or anything and not eating at the same time. Well, wait, you're going to die in 3 days. That's what we've always been told. That's what I was told. You can't live without water for more than 3 days. Fact is, it's not true. Again, I don't encourage anybody to do this because I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving medical advice, but do some research. And you'll find that that's absolutely not the case. There's a lot of other people who have seen some incredible results through fasting. And there's a lot of good research out there. So again, advanced carnivore, you're going to get into this a little bit and probably want to give it a shot. Then do some more research on it. Lots of good resources on that. But I wanted to at least introduce you to the topic because you've probably heard about it. If it's your first 30 days on carnivore, somebody somewhere on a video has mentioned fasting. You're probably wondering what it was. I know I did. You're doing it because you want to challenge yourself and challenge your mind. A lot of what we do is pushing ourselves to some limits, and fasting is a way of doing that if you want to attempt that later on in your carnivore career. All right, I'm going to say one more time, fasting is not always for the first 30 days of carnivore. Right now, that's not really what you're worried about. But again, you've probably heard about it if you've been digging into some of these other videos, and there is some great benefits to fasting. So I'd encourage you, make sure you're doing some more research on it. This is the advanced carnivore. There's some great videos out there on it that'll help fill you in much better than I can. But what I can do is continue to pray for y'all. What I can do is continue to encourage y'all, and that's what I'm here to do. So if you have specific questions, you want to know more, dig into the communities, ask questions online, get some community help where you can be in some live calls and things like that. Ask some specific questions about fasting with some of our doctors or some of our experts that have done it. Todd Bachnes is one of those who's done a lot of fasting. He's fantastic. He's got some great information, many experts on there. Coach Raymond was one of my favorites who really inspired me to even get involved with fasting at first. But one of the things he says very specifically, he's got a whole protocol around this called priming, but your body has to be ready to start fasting. So if you're still sick, you're still healing, you're still just getting into this whole carnivore mentality, fasting is something you can do a little bit later on. Push that off right now. If anything, work your way up to TUMAD, which is 2 meals a day, and then maybe to OMAD, 1 meal a day. Shorten that eating window. Start out with the intermittent fasting. And then if you want to push beyond that, do some further research. Keep adding comments. We appreciate that so much. Like this, subscribe to this. And hey, if you stumbled onto this video, we're almost near the end. Make sure you go back to the beginning. Start at the introduction. There's a whole 30 days that I want to offer you the tips, tricks, and advice. So go back to the beginning, start from there, and make sure you start at the intro and then day 1. Thanks so much for watching. We appreciate y'all. Take care and God bless. Holy Father, I humbly come before you today, seeking the gift of your wisdom. You are the source of all knowledge and understanding, and I acknowledge that apart from you, I can do nothing. You created all things and are all-knowing. Lord, guide my thoughts, my words, and my actions today so that they align with your will. Grant me the discernment to make choices that honor you. Help me to distinguish between what is right and what is wrong, what is true and what is false, and what is important and what is insignificant. Let your Spirit lead me in all that I do, that my life may reflect your purpose and glory. When I face challenges or decisions, remind me to seek your counsel above all else. Let me not rely on my own understanding, but trust in your perfect wisdom and timing. Teach me to be patient, humble, and teachable as I walk this path with you. Father, fill my heart with the desire of your truth. Open my eyes to see things from your perspective and give me the courage to act on the insights that you provide. Help me to use the wisdom you give not only for my benefit, but to bless and encourage those around me. Thank you, Lord, for your word, which is a lamp unto my feet and a light to my path. May I meditate on it daily and grow in understanding of your ways. I trust as I seek you, you will give me the wisdom I need for each step on this journey. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen.